National Guard troops from around the country started arriving here in the nation's capital today as a total of 6 Republican-led states announced they're jumping in to help President Trump in his takeover of Washington, D.C., which will put 1,000 more troops on the ground. In addition to the hundreds of federal agents and D.C. National Guard troops that President Trump activated. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser responding today, telling CNN, "We don't have any authority over the D.C. Guard or any other guards, but I think it kind of makes the point that this is not about D.C. crime." My source tonight served as the acting vice chief of the National Guard Bureau. Major General Randy Manner is with us. Major General, thank you for joining us this evening. So as you're looking at what's happening in D.C., are these additional out-of-state troops needed here?
It's important to say that none of these troops are needed. This is absolutely not a requirement for the use of our National Guard or our military. This is at best a need for, it's a police opportunity, both for the local police there, the Metropolitan Police Department, and if they need any additional assistance, the mayor has the authority to ask for it. So I want to make sure for all of your viewers to understand there are no requirements in my 36 years of military service where this is a legitimate mission for any National Guard or military soldiers, sailors, airmen, or Marines. It is just a political prop where the president wants to exercise the authority, which is a legal right, by the way, it's a legal order, to put armed military on the streets of the city.
General, I've talked to Hispanic Americans. These are citizens, American citizens, who live just outside of D.C. in Virginia and Maryland, and they're afraid to come into D.C. during this takeover to work, to go to museums. They're afraid of being profiled. They're afraid of ending up in the wrong place at the wrong time. When that's how people start feeling about the National Guard, which is so often activated to help people in times of disaster, what's your concern about that?
This actually will cause people to lose confidence in our fellow Americans that are serving in uniform, where they are predominantly there when they are used within the United States for disaster recovery in times of floods, fires, forest fires, hurricanes. In fact, we're coming up hard and fast on hurricane season. Seeing armed soldiers on the street for no reason whatsoever other than the president said for them to get there. Again, this is a police action. It should be a police action, not a military action. It's something that really is difficult for the average American to understand, that taking a few thousand military off of their military training for overseas missions helps to reduce our readiness to fight our wars, not only for the 4,000 that were deployed to Los Angeles, but also for the several thousand that are going into DC. Those are soldiers that are not available for individual training, not ready for their unit to be prepared to go into a combat role. It is absolutely reducing our readiness. The thing that also concerns me greatly, which many of your viewers may not know, is because of these deployments, the National Guard is scrambling to pay for this. What that means is many states are going to find it very difficult to pay their soldiers in the September drill. So for their activity, military training in September, many states are going to go without. There's not enough money in the budget to take care of this. And I find it appalling, absolutely appalling, that the president is doing this kind of a political prop on the backs of our young men and women in uniform and their families. Many of our soldiers and airmen actually earn more money in their civilian jobs than they do on the National Guard duty. And therefore, they're losing money in such an endeavor. So you can imagine people being yanked away from family vacations the month of August, being yanked away from the situation of getting their kids off to school. Perhaps if they're a single parent, they have to deal with this. Again, these are lawful orders, and our soldiers are going to do what they are told and to follow all lawful orders. But I find it absolutely disgusting as a career military officer that this kind of a mission is being imposed on our young men and women in uniform.
And just real quickly, you mentioned hurricane season. Do you foresee any problems where these members of the Guard, what they might normally be doing, they're not doing because they're in D.C.?
Now, each of these states has many thousands of additional guardsmen available to them. So it's not impacting the individual state's ability to respond to natural disasters in their respective states. It is, however, reducing the readiness in terms of a unit being prepared to go into combat. So it's not yet enough to negatively impact the state's ability to respond to a hurricane, but recurring mobilizations like this, when there is no money for it, states will start to run out of money unless, of course, Congress authorizes additional money to go to the Department of Defense, to funnel down to the National Guard Bureau itself, and then go down to the states so the states can pay these young men and women.
That's a really good insight. Major General Randy Manner, thanks for being with us.
Thank you as always. Thank you for what you do.